Yo, what is good, my Quick Crypto family and my Coin Factory family? Welcome back once again to another daily Kaspa crypto live stream, and we have got quite a few interesting sources to get through today. In today's stream, we have got some milestones that have been broken by Kaspa, some very big milestones, which in the grand scheme of things are very bullish, but also does leave some questions which we'll address in this stream. We have got increasing recognition and questions and developments regarding Index Zabo, regarding Kaspa as well. We're seeing other big names in the crypto space acknowledge Kaspa, starting to potentially leverage Kaspa, and then Kaspa core devs, the likes of some Polinsky, also making his stance and statements regarding layer 2s of Kaspa. And we got that, and equally some other big posts as well regarding the SEC and their recent decision regarding ETF filings as well. So we got a lot of interesting sources for today's stream. We'll get through in this hour slot. For those who I know will be watching Blockchain Banter later on at 9 o'clock, an hour from now, I streamed at my usual time, which will give hopefully enough time for you all to tune into my content and then happily switch over and listen to all the interesting stuff they've got to say there as well. Shout out to those boys there. But in today in that, if you enjoy the content, enjoy what's going to be coming to Kaspa, you're still optimistic what's going to be coming through as well, leave a like, share with your friends, subscribe for more, and turn on that post notification bell so you know every time that I go live. We have Crypto Gosu first in as always. Welcome back, bro. You're doing very well, and definitely first smashing that like button as you should. Thank you very much for your continued support, brother. Hello to you too, my man. Mr. Miles, actually here early for once. Welcome back, bro. You're doing very well. Yo to you too, Greg. Nessie asking for a friend. Do we moon yet? That's the question we all got on our minds right now. The answer, unfortunately, is we don't know. There is some talk right now about how the deadline regarding my understanding of it is still a little bit vague in all honesty, but there's apparently a potential for a government shutdown tonight. We hear that so frequently that I'm not particularly bothered by it, but you might see further pullbacks in the market because of that. I mean, you can see right now gold is rallying like crazy at 1.72%, so evidently investors are getting a bit panicky, but Bitcoin and crypto still holding strong for the most part. Hopefully we see it make that push again to 117k and surpassing that. We had our executive roundtable earlier today as well, with Joking who was there and everybody else who attended as well, and we covered some interesting institutional documents, their stance, and ultimately the stream was just covering again how early we are, how incredibly early we are, and $800 trillion potential in DeFi is on the horizon, which is what we're ultimately in for. We're not in this anymore for a get-rich-quick scheme. I mean, to an extent we still kind of are, but this is now becoming a mature market where you need to know what it is that you hold, and you're here now to play the long game in a sense. But we'll get through that sort of stuff again at another time as well. Welcome again, Van. Hope you're doing very well. What's your opinion on smart contracts? Are they a success? A great question. I am still testing them out a little bit. I do have some opinions from some Polinsky today's stream and equally Kaspa Silver in today's stream, which I imagine once I've fully tested all the smart contracts out, my opinion will be quite similar. But as it stands right now, I don't want to make any judgment until I've got more involved and make a more fair general statement about what I believe about them. Right now, my stance is I don't think they're too bad. But of course, if you're worried about it, which you're entitled to be, then again, just wait for now. Trixie, welcome. Hope you're doing very well. What do you think about the possibility of a Halloween Binance listing? Bitcoin made 35 to 40% gains on October 17th and 21st. Even a 25% gain would provide a lot of overall market momentum. It's a very good point. Now, is it going to be a case that Bitcoin repeats that this Halloween time, 17th to 21st of October? We don't know. What we do know is on the 29th of October, end of October, we're going to be seeing the next FOMC meeting, which we're hoping we'll be seeing rate cuts. But again, the sentiment has been slowly but surely falling off a bit. It's currently right now at, well, actually I say that it's at 89% right now. So actually it's kind of rallied up, but last I checked it was at 85. The incoming macro reports will heavily determine the Fed stance. We have got, I think, a total of 9 Fed officials speaking this week, which will also give us an outlook on what their current stance is on the economy and if we will be getting rate cuts. I think the possibility of a crypto pump is heavily dependent on that right now. And then in other news, again, we do have a lot of ETF finance reaching their deadlines, but again, the SEC have done a new announcement that kind of does remove those deadlines, but also fast tracks ETFs at the same time. So it's kind of a good and bad thing, but we'll get to that in a little bit later on. So the short answer, Trixie, is I'm not entirely sure. 2021 and 2017, right? Apologies. And then yes, of course, you're looking at historical data therefore in the previous markets. And again, is as you should do as an investor, and it's a good thing for you to do that. Will Bitcoin replicate that this time round? I think the cycle is fundamentally very, very different. I think analyzing historical data is important, but you can't rely on it as much as you could have done in the previous cycle because of institutional adoption. I think Binance is going to list Kaspa this cycle. I'm not so set on it being in October. Of course, I understand your point, and I think it does make sense in regards to if the market is pumping, you want to capitalize on that momentum and launch then. I get that, and I agree. But we have been patiently, frustratingly waiting for Binance for so long right now that honestly, I don't know when they're going to list. Nobody does, and all the seemingly logical times that they should list, they haven't done. I do think they're going to list, but I don't exactly know when. I think we have to see a significant rally in the market, which could be November, could be December, could even be a little bit later. But don't worry, the moment I get any more information, I will definitely keep you posted, everybody here. Welcome back, Buffalo. Bro, you're doing very, very well, my man. And you too, Mila. Hello, Mo. Hello, you're doing very, very well. Better times are coming for us for sure, no doubt. No doubt about that. Welcome back, Wing Hong. With Moon yet? No, not yet. We can see Bitcoin's currently up 1.69%. ETH at up 0.4%, 0.74%. Kaspa's currently down 1.34% on the daily time frame. And again, is repeating the structure we saw back here and back here, just consolidating right now around this zone, which showcases right now, as C was saying earlier in our VIP, is not enough buy pressure. But we are optimistic that if Bitcoin can kind of hold this level, if not surpass it, the buy pressure will come back and we'll see Kaspa break above 8 cents again, which would be reassuring news, of course. What's up, Next Level Cash? Hope you're doing very, very well. Cowboy boots on and living life forever bullish, as you should be. Great to have you back in once again. And those tuning in the background, just tuning in and listening, welcome. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're doing very, very well this Monday. And looking forward to the content we got for today's stream. So I wanted to start off today's stream. First off, was looking at this post, which again, for me is very, very important. Those who've been tuning in for a while, you would have seen one of the alpha documents I published on Twitter, which spoke about Signum Bank, and it spoke about how one of the key catalysts that leaves a bigger potential for an extended cycle is the global liquidity, which again, we can see the M2 money supply is at all-time highs and continuing to rally, which is really, really good news. It's really good news. And again, we have seen this massive, massive divergence between Bitcoin and the M2 supply, which historically speaking, Bitcoin should be following the supply very, very diligently, but it's not been doing so for the time being. And it's been quite frustrating, but as you see right now, it suggests that Bitcoin should be making this move to the 160, 170Ks at some point later on in the cycle. So I'm still expecting that when the time is right. It's a massive divergence for the time being, but I do think we'll see a recovery and Bitcoin making that comeback when the liquidity and the sentiment has shifted, because right now FUD is still very much looming. We are for the most part cutting rates into a re-accelerating economy, and hopefully this week's macro reports support that. We're seeing the ISM PMI coming out this week as well as a job report, so we'll have to look forward for that as well. Of course, I'll be letting my VIPs know that in real time and probably give an announcement in these live streams as well. Although announcing this kind of now, this week's going to be very, very busy for me. So live streams from Friday, Saturday and Sunday will be either late or maybe not even happening at all, but I'll keep you all posted on that. But yeah, this again, very, very big news, seeing the M2 money supply exploding the way it is. So I'm hopeful we'll see this continue accelerating as the market progresses and we start seeing Q4 turning and looking a bit more bullish as well. Do you think it is possible that Binance might hold back to list right after Bitcoin displays top signals? Binance could list then to bring eyes and money to their exchange post-peak. However, this might result in a lower Kaspa top-in price than if Binance listed earlier. Again, a very, very good question, Trixie. I think there is an element of manipulation going on here. Binance have Kaspa futures, have a mining pool. They have their intern constantly leaking about Kaspa. You have CZ seemingly hinting about Kaspa as well. You know, I think Binance do, I mean, again, we know Binance have been talking to Kaspa since December 2023. And we know even a bit more recently, Wolfie confirmed that since the migration of 10 BPS, the Binance tech team have been talking closely with the devs, or the core tech team, whatever you want to call it, for Kaspa as well. So now they're connected. And we know, therefore, the possibility of a listing is inevitable. It's just a question of when. Now, are they going to list before the Bitcoin top or after the Bitcoin top? It's a great question. Of course, I've got a crystal ball, so I don't know. I'd hope before. And it would be better for our bags as well, if that was the case. But will it happen or not? Again, it is tough to determine. I think what we're seeing right now, the increasing recognition of Kaspa as a protocol, as a project, is enough for me to stay convicted in the price, despite its lackluster price and its, as I see in lieutenants now here, the constant falling off in the rankings as well. Seeing Kaspa right now at 51, as opposed to top 50 right now. Yeah, frustrating. Yes, we've seen it time and time again. It's not ideal, but again, for me, I said this earlier in a comment on Twitter and equally to my community. I would be worried about Kaspa if it was either not building anything or if the recognition was falling off. But at this current stage we're in, we're seeing more and more recognition of Kaspa and what it's trying to build. Nick Szabo literally came out after 4.5 years of being AFK on Twitter and is now speaking about the potential of BlockDAG and how incredible it could be about Kaspa. We'll get to those posts in a moment as well. So listings and those sort of elements, I think they're going to happen. I just don't know when. I hope it is the former though, Trixie, I really do. And yeah, Mr. Master's right, yeah, I'll get to that post as well. That's the breaking announcement, the another major milestone that Kaspa broke, which is again 60 million transactions, which is nuts. That's absolutely insane. That's not just a proof of work record, that is a crypto record. It has got a bit of controversy behind that, which we'll talk about as well, to my best understanding, but it is still a very big milestone. And yes, you know, losing ranks, yeah, he was talking about the fact that Kaspa is now out the top 50, which Kaspa's now been playing with the top 50, well, more recently for the last few weeks, but even then been playing this for the last, few months now, the top 50 Kaspa. I'm still convinced Kaspa will make that push back up again when the time is right, but who knows. But that being said, that's currently my first major point I want to talk about, the empty money supply being a key indicator for crypto, and that's why despite the frustratingly depressing price of all altcoins, especially Kaspa, I'm not too worried right now because all indicators right now still support a rally happening in the foreseeable future. I've got some more macro and fundamental news, but I'll get to that later on because I want to get into Kaspa stuff right now, which again, starting off where we left off regarding Nick Szabo, where he posted yesterday, he thinks BlockDAGs have a great deal of potential, but it is best realized when emphasis is put on applying the better trade-offs to improving trust minimization rather than on other desideratia. You know what? I'm just going to copy this word into Google Translate and paste it so I can actually pronounce it, because I don't like the fact that I can't pronounce this word. That's my dyslexia coming through. I do apologize. It's very unprofessional of me. It could just say desired. It's just basically it seems to be, apparently it's Italian. I don't know. Okay, well, other parts are such a performance. Okay, well, funny, look at me, I can't speak properly. But yeah, anyways, cycling back, getting back into swing of things, Nick Szabo basically just said that BlockDAGs have a great deal of potential, and once we realize its true potential, as opposed to focusing on other stuff, again, the trade-offs to improving trust minimization as opposed to performance, that is what is going to make Kaspa such a unique asset in the future. Been saying all the time, bull run and new inflows of money not equal to Kaspa pumping. Nothing can help the price anymore. Yeah, but I disagree. I still disagree. We'll have to wait and see. Again, what's happening with Kaspa right now, the same exact thing happened to Bitcoin in the early days as well. Same thing happened to the internet when it first tried to take off. In fact, in that regard, I will actually bring up a post here. I published this in my VIP earlier today. I spoke about it earlier today as well in our executive roundtable. I do occasionally leak some stuff in this community. This post here, where is it? This one here, from Apollo Crypto. the investment thesis right here. I'm not going to show the whole thing, apart from this part here, how they value crypto assets. Many pundits often describe crypto assets as impossible to value due to a lack of intrinsic value. It reminds us of valuing the internet in its infancy. In 2000, a Forbes article suggested that the internet may just be a passing fad as millions give up on it. Today, Mag 7 has a larger market cap than many GDPs of many developed, massive countries and nations. That, for me, I can attribute to Kaspa. Kaspa is in its infancy. And it's impossible to put a value on something that, for the most part, seems to lack intrinsic value right now. The value coming to Kaspa is implied here from Nick Szabo. Once it's realized, the value will start to correlate to that. But we don't know the value just yet. We don't know the value just yet. USDT and Circle don't care about Kaspa. Sources suggest otherwise. You've got Kaspa.com talking to USDT apparently, KEF talking to USDT and USDC. Again, you don't take their word for it, that's perfectly fine, but sources suggest they do have an interest. Same thing with Binance. You know? If USDT and USDC were concerned about capital capabilities, yeah. Again, it's sentiment against sentiment, right? You don't believe Circle, and you believe stablecoins care about Kaspa, but sources suggest they do. Which then makes it somebody's source and in some form of proof against your word. And it does, you know, I don't know, it lacks any form of weight behind the statement, if you get what I'm trying to say. I understand Kaspa's price is doing badly, and therefore you're entitled to say as you will do, as anything, but the statement of Kaspa about stablecoins not caring about Kaspa when there's proof suggesting that they do doesn't really align properly. But again, maybe you're right, and we'll find out. But if there is no listing in the future, we'll find out. You know, it was just all a facade. But as it stands right now, this for me, in regard to this for me is indicative of crypto, but this for me is even more indicative of Kaspa. It's just impossible to value Kaspa right now because there's a lack of intrinsic value. We don't understand fully how Kaspa works. People don't understand Bitcoin right now, let alone Kaspa. We are in the infancy of internet, infancy of Kaspa. Many people right now are giving up on Kaspa because the price is doing badly. The internet didn't take off immediately. The price is doing badly. People are giving up on it. Look at the internet now. You're listening to me on YouTube because of the internet. And the internet solves real issues. Kaspa is no different in that regard. And that's just what institutional sentiment is saying right now as well. You know? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, even got this Bitcoin.com news. 3.2 million followers as well, also talking about it as well, where Nick Szabo, creator of BitGold, returns after 4.5 years to share insights on Bitcoin's value versus new contenders like Kaspa. What are your thoughts? Nick Szabo didn't say that about Ethereum, or not to my no, actually that's a lie, he did kind of do. But he didn't say about any other like massive assets. He's talking about Kaspa as an actual contender to Bitcoin. That's significant. That's a big deal. And he's even reposting stuff about Kaspa as well. Everyone should become familiar with Nick Szabo and his work, paved the way for Bitcoin and Kaspa. Like, the guy is actively again, and we'll talk about this post here from Kaspa Commons, from Chad, delves into a little bit more so as well, which I think is very, very interesting. Kaspa's tech is getting a lot of attention since Crescendo's launch, so May 5th, and the recent movements around smart contracts, again, coming out just 3 or 4 days ago. And recently, Nick Szabo, creator of smart contracts, chimed in and asked some great questions. Among cryptographers and cyberpunks, Szabo has moral and intellectual authority. His questions tend to spark serious conversations. So he tweeted, how many Kaspa full nodes are there? How much history does Kaspa nodes need to store? It's a legitimacy check and an invitation for deeper scrutiny. So what this implies for Kaspa, simply put, is validation and legitimacy. A no-name asking technical questions is a big deal for Kaspa. For those who want to understand more about it, it's not saying that Kaspa's great. He's asking, though, about why he should care more about Kaspa. Asking technical questions. That's never happened to another project in a similar sense. And it gives us also an opportunity to be transparent. Szabo's questions force the project to be precise about design trade-offs, which Xompoliski has done so. Technical stress test questions from skeptics or experts push you to test edge cases, clarify ambiguous design decisions, and tighten the architecture. And then signaling to the crypto community, his engagement acts as a kind of seal of interest to other developers. And we've seen that now. The individual here, Dan Gambardello, who is apparently the founder of Crypto Capital Venture, he's now said Kaspa community is no joke. I officially told my team to work on a Kaspa risk model. Also wondering if I should buy some Kaspa before the bull market gets out of hand. P.S. I apologize for calling you bots in previous polls. How many big content creators, big KOLs, people like Dan, people like Adam, people like Da Vinci Jeremy, what's his name now? Forgetting his name. Freddie, I forget his last name now. But people like Freddie as well, all these people who have banned Kaspa content creators or back Kaspa Twitter account because they see them as bots. Not willing to actually know it's not botting. Our community is just that strong that we have bot-like behavior, but we actually are people behind it. That in itself is actually, when you get called a bot, if anything, I think that's actually a compliment to get called a bot. It just means that you're so overwhelming that it looks like a bot, but actually you're a real person who have a real belief. But yeah, this him just asking questions as well in itself is a good step in the right direction for Kaspa. There is of course some caveats with it. Questions is not endorsement. He's asking questions does not mean he's endorsing Kaspa. He's just asking questions. But it's still good that he's asking questions. Popularity does not equal success, even if many high profilers thinkers engage. What really matters is whether Kaspa's tech works under stress. So even though he's engaging, if Kaspa does not, meet the requirements and expectations of the people, it wouldn't succeed. The price right now could reflect that, but I'm sure, again, Kaspa is still in its infancy. You've only just had smart contracts out for a few days. You haven't even got IGRA out, Sparkle out, VProx out, Dagnite out, KRI launching their stuff yet. All that stuff is still yet to come out. Contests can be superficial. Sometimes high-profile figures throw out probing questions for attention or debate, not because they deeply have audited. The community must ensure the response isn't shallow. Why Nick Szabo and others' questions matter for Kaspa? This is significant for a few reasons. Attention from the roots of crypto. Szabo's ideas helped inspire Bitcoin itself. When someone of his caliber is curious about Kaspa, it signals the project is on the radar of foundational thinkers. That again is why I am not worried about the price of Kaspa. Why would I be worried when someone who was inspired or helped inspire Bitcoin itself has now, to some way or another, has now got Kaspa on his radar? Again, it's not going to just jump overnight. I'm not expecting a god candle from this, but again, it's probing questions that could lead to more. And it, again, could bring more legitimacy to Kaspa with potentially more Bitcoin maximalists who'll be listening to Adam Bates. Now think, oh, you know what? Nick Szabo's got a lot more accolades than Adam, maybe. They might perceive that, and therefore they're going to listen to Nick instead. His questions about node counts and storage aren't casual. They press Kaspa to explain the trade-off clearly and publicly, which Somplify has done so, especially in regard to Dagnite. He did that in that Vlad interview, that podcast. Stronger design through scrutiny, high-level questions from experts push the project to refine explanations, test assumptions, and strengthen the protocol. Which, again, you've seen Somplinsky come out. Somplinsky doesn't really talk on Twitter. He got spoken a bit today. He doesn't really talk on Twitter, and now he's responding to Nick here. If Szabo is asking, it invites others to research and develop into Kaspa as well. Engagement from the miner like Szabo doesn't equal endorsement, but it does show that Kaspa is becoming a part of a bigger conversation about scaling trustless systems. This is where we're at with Kaspa right now. Price sucks. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Price sucks. I don't like it. But again, there's a difference between a project price sucking and there being nothing new coming to a project price that's sucking when you're seeing big historical names talking about the project, asking questions about it, and the project's still building. I understand the stress about price. I really, really do. Trust me, I do. I don't like it. Who likes being down in their investment? Or even if you're up, who likes not anticipating or expecting a 50 cents cash, but whatever it may be you're expecting, Everyone wants to see higher price. We want to make money. I get that. I do. But there's a difference between a project with projects doing badly. I mean, again, you've seen it with other projects in this space before. I mean, what can I look at? I could look at anything really. Let's look at Cardano. And not a comparison to Cardano, FYI, it's just me showcasing Cardano as an example here. Cardano, technically speaking, has been down 75% for 4 years. Now, I think most of us accept Cardano is not a good project anyways, but the point being is, again, Kaspa's down about, 60, 65% or so. for a year and a half, and it's frustrating, especially when to be in a bull run, but all alts are struggling. And some alts are nowhere near the peak of the last cycle. Nowhere near. Cardano's one example. You could look at many others. Let's check another one. Let's check out AVAX. Sure, let's check out AVAX. And again, to clarify, it's not comparison. I'm not comparing capital to these projects. I'm just highlighting that price is not what we should only care about. AVAX, at the peak of its last cycle as well, down 80%. Now, I think AVAX can actually return to its high, truth be told, at the very least. Down 80% equally for 4 years. But no one's caring about that. That's because, to be fair, these projects are battle tested, so we expect them to come back. Where Kaspa, I would argue, is, but again, people are just kind of only focusing on the... And it's funny, it's funny because people focus on the price, they focus on the short term in regards to a year and a half, and they forget to look at the longer term in regards to the, 4 years we've seen with Kaspa so far, which is one of the best pumps in any project. It was 47% up from launch. I had the question earlier, which I'll reply to. Someone asked me a question about it. Here. I made a post about, this post here I showcased yesterday about why I'm not worried about the price. And someone said, we could look at the actual price of seed. 9 out of 12 days, it's red. 8 out of 10 weeks is red. And 10 out of 14 months is red. And therefore we're screwed. And you're not wrong to think that. But again, that's a matter of perspective. Because why are you looking at it that way? Not looking at a matter of, over the whole course of its history, it's actually up 40,000% from launch. Which most projects are still down 80% from its peak. And even then from its launch, if you look at it from its launch, even the down from launch, we can look at, ICP down from launch. I don't need to look at that. I know ICP is down from launch. This project's terrible. You've got Litecoin from all time. Litecoin I don't think is down from launch. I'll have to double check quickly though. Yeah, no, but it's up 2,000%. Kappa's up 40,000. And even though you look at Litecoin here as well, equally down from all-time highs. So again, it's a matter of perspective. I understand it's pick and choosing my battles, which I am. But it's again trying to... Again, if you don't like the project, don't like the price, that's understandable. You just sell. You do what's right for you. But I'm trying to break people out of the mentality of just solely only focusing on the price and therefore narrowing your perception. There's a reason why I stopped talking about price predictions. Because if you're only focusing on the price, you're narrowing your possibility of learning and what you can learn in the space. Because all you're thinking about, what's going to make me money? Don't get me wrong, that's what I'm thinking as well. It's what you kind of want to be thinking, but you've got to think how money comes through. Again, looking at the document that I showcased earlier, one that I published to my VIPs, it's talking about the reason why crypto assets aren't possible to really value. When you look at Bitcoin right now, when you look at Bitcoin at $2.2 trillion market cap, it's still impossible to value Bitcoin because the understanding of Bitcoin, how you make money from it, is still in its infancy. You don't want people to understand Bitcoin. As mentioned in this article as well. We talk about Bitcoin here. Bitcoin. Many investors think that Bitcoin's trade-off is over. At Apollo, we believe we have just crossed the chasm and are in the early stages of mainstream adoption. This is what institutions are talking about right now. So what we believe, we're entitled to believe. And my beliefs come from extensive research from smart money as well, alongside project research as well. My reason why I'm convicted in what I hold is because I do my research. And the price is frustrating, but when I see where the space is going and how incredibly early we still are, I don't worry about a year time frame when I could be focusing on a slightly longer time frame. And even then, I still think Kaspa Kaspa had the easy possibility of doing this in a span of a few months if given the right circumstances, very comfortably. Like any other project can do as well. Of course, will it be as explosive? Maybe not, because it hasn't got VC pumping the price. But it could still get a lot if you get the Binance listing. Which Trixie says here, Binance will likely ramp up their buying of Kaspa right before they list to push the price up. Then Kaspa could possibly, within 3x within a few weeks, we could walk up one day by the end of November, see $1. If Binance lists Kaspa, you would see a massive FOMO count, no doubt. You would see one. Those who traded Kaspa would get in, probably to make a quick buck and then sell. But the exchanges with Binance would not want it to come down and lose out on their investment, so they continue stacking more and more and send it higher. Not to mention those who, again, majority of the market, 90% of investors only use Coinbase and Binance. So that would open up a massive, massive pool of adoption into Kaspa if one of those exchanges or both of them listed Kaspa. That's why they're so important. Now, will they come? We don't know. I believe so. When? I don't know. Who does? Who honestly does? But I'm not worried about the price. At least now. Because again, the price for me is a concern. What can I take as an example? Right now, everything's struggling. Jasmine, sure, I'll take Jasmine. I don't know too much about Jasmine, to be fair, so I can't talk too much on it. But Jasmine, this is Jasmine. From its launch, down 90 plus whatever %, valued at 1.2 cents right now. Like that Jasmine is terrible chart. Launched in the last cycle as well. It's a terrible, terrible chart. Now, I don't know if Jasmine's building a lot. I think last time I looked, they were doing some stuff, but evidently, I don't think, I'm not hearing about them much at all. So evidently, they're not building enough. Because those who are building a lot, you'd get a lot of, engagement. I mean, take the Moon Madness round robin tables as an example of what community is there or not. Cardano did very well against Kaspa, all things considered. Sui had nothing on it. So you could argue, therefore, that Sui is purely being pumped by VCs. And then once they use them at the retail as a liquidity, Sui might just fall off completely after that. You could argue it might happen. I'm not saying it's going to. 300 mil chance in one day, was that the time frame? Yes, we'll get to that post right now, actually. So, Nick Szabo not endorsing Kaspa, sorry, but Nick Szabo asking about Kaspa in itself is a very, very big sign of recognition in a sense about the project. And again, it's what we should be taking into account. And that's also why I'm not worried about the price right now. And you're seeing more relatively huge smart money individuals and whatnot also starting to work on Kaspa as well, which is great stuff to see. Mr. Miles made a post about this, which I know I'm showcasing it. Ethereum OGs and proof of stake developers, permit me briefly to interrogate the false narrative you cling to, that proof of work is an obsolete, slow, independent at to true scale. One must endure an inquisitive irony. Behold Kaspa, a pure layer 1 proof of work, which just processed 60 million transactions in a single day. This is a profound repudiation. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. Repudiation. Jeez, man. Today has been a terrible day for me. A volume that eclipses the daily tally of virtually every major proof of stake system, if not all of them, on its base layer alone. Observe the necessity of a layer 2 concession, which merely displaces the congestion and creates the current crisis of fragmented deployment. Ultimately, yes, you can see here, from the screenshot from Mr. Miles here, over 60 million transactions. You can see the post here. Bitcoin's too slow, ETH gas are too high, Solana is congested, and transactions are failing. What's the solution? The solution, of course, is Kaspa. We know that very, very well. But yeah, that is what happened in 24 hours. Solana's all-time seems to be around 10 million, and the network went down as a result of it. Kaspa did 60 million and didn't break a sweat and broke records. So that is a very, very big deal. Very big deal indeed. Now, in saying that, there's a bit of controversy behind that, which comes down to here. The total fee revenue barely moved, suggesting that even if tens of millions of people used it peer-to-peer every day, it still wouldn't be economically viable. These numbers are less of a flex than everybody thinks. So what's he mean by that? He means that, of course, if the miners were mining, they would not get much money for that. Which Shai talks about here as well. Now, in summary of what Shai says, to understand what he's talking about here, why are all the fees going to the layer 2? Actually, he doesn't really talk about this. Sorry, he doesn't talk about this, but he talks about why the fees are going to the layer 2. Not due to the layer 2's greed or corruption, but for a much simpler reason. A layer 2 has no control over the Kaspa layer 1 fees. The only ones who directly control the fees are the miners. So, from what I'm seeing here, from what I read on through this as well, he seems to suggest that the reason, and this can correlate to this in my belief as well, the reason why there's not a lot of fee revenue, not a lot of money, is because the fee market has been set really low. It's not because of Casplex or anybody in particular. It's because the natural inbuilt structure of mining for Kaspa, the fee market is extremely low. Aspect says here, it's very hard for me to understand your post. I had to reread it twice, talking about how there are two sets of fees for the miners on layer 1 that are regular layer 1 networks, and separate fees on the layer 2, paid on the layer 2 as gas, which is layer 2 Kaspa, that regulate layer 2 network pressure. So it looks like there are two sets of fees, there's one on the layer 1 and then on the layer 2 itself as well. And they go, they're different in a sense. So the milestone in itself is a very big deal. We can't, downplay that. But again, it's in the sense of the whole premise of, if you're going to see a lot of transactions, you think your miner's going to get paid a lot of money. Apparently, the fee revenue barely moves. So they weren't paid really much more of anything at all, which kind of defeats the point of, when all the Kaspa's mined out, will the ecosystem be able to sustain itself or not? So my answer to this right now is, I think it still can, but we need to find more information on that. I'm trying to research more into it, so I can't provide a good answer, unfortunately, right now. Charles talking about in this post here, if they implemented an RPC command, it would allow each miner to easily set their own minimum fee threshold, which means that once they reach that minimum fee threshold, then they'd end up, receiving the rewards, if you will. And you can set it to a minimum threshold amount, so like 0.01 Kaspa, which is 1,000 times the current minimal fee. So yeah, while it is very, very small, I think that might not be a bad solution or a bad shout, but again, my understanding of it is lackluster. Also, because I'm not a miner, me not being a miner also does shrink my limitation understanding of it, in full disclosure. But that's again why I have my free Discord server, and all of you beautiful people here watching me who understand more about mining, is you participate in that, and we talk about that sort of stuff as well. I'm sure that Tony can provide his own insights about that as well. Talk about possibility, the workaround or fix for this if he has an idea as well. But but isolating this part here is a very big deal. Again, history for Kaspa being made here and surpassing every major crypto chain in the world. Now, in regards to smart contracts, we've got two more posts here to get into before we get into some more macro news and stuff like that. One is going to be from Somplinsky himself, which is going to be a big one. Before we do that, again, let me get into some more questions real quickly. Thanks, Quick, for being patient with us, the ones who lost all hope. I appreciate you for being kind and level-headed. I get it, Lieutenant, and it's fine. I completely understand the sentiment that people have in regards to frustration in Kaspa. Hey, I'm no different. I go through my days as well. The good thing for me, though, is, again, I made my losses in the last cycle. I chased candles. I got frustrated with projects and I sold them because they're doing badly, and they ended up doing well in the end. One thing I take pride in is research, and also just patience and discipline. It's a very hard skill to master, and I've not mastered it. But again, anytime that you need some FOMO or just someone who can hopefully give you some more understanding and conviction and clarity, then yeah, I'll be here. I'll continue to be here. I'll even occasionally showcase some of these sources here. Of course, you can learn a lot more of this sort of stuff here in my VIP. Join for 7 days or for a month should BYDFI. It's in my BYDFI affiliate link. But this sort of documentation here again showcases to us the general idea of crypto and how early we are. And if we understand this is how early they perceive crypto, then Kaspa is even earlier in its infancy. And I understand again the product of Kaspa being bad, but when you think about the fact that it's still building, and when you think about the fact that big notable names are starting to ask questions about Kaspa, that showcases the project is on their radar. They're not worrying about the price. They're focusing on the tech, which proves enough that the tech in itself is innovative enough for them to at least ask questions about it. They're not asking questions about XRP's tech or Solana's tech. They're asking about Kaspa's tech. So what does Kaspa have they don't have? Why is it worth asking questions about? It's because it's new. It's tough to understand Kaspa. That's also a big threshold, a big hurdle for people to actually get over. A lot of people are making negative September comments. May do a 180 in their tone by this time next month. They did last cycle. Yeah, It's because people right now are perceiving that we're going towards a government shutdown and just the end of the cycle's in, and it's the same thing you see every year. Bears trying to win the masses, and I do think you might see some more lackluster momentum this week potentially. Or no, I think you see a lot of volatility this week based on the macro sources, but I don't think you'll necessarily see a breakout. I'd love to be wrong there though, but it would be a case of I think this cycle has still got a lot more to go. Again, the indicators suggest as much. You should understand the indicators, you understand the sources. I'm talking regulatory clarity, I'm talking treasury companies, I'm talking M2 money supply, I'm talking about the institutional adoption through ETFs as well. All those catalysts coming through that would trigger more momentum into the market, to the altcoins. I don't think we're going down just yet. I think we've still got a lot longer to go, and maybe even longer than we think. And yeah, they should also list Kaspa. I do believe so. Tier 1s must list, and Kaspa should lose the over leverage. Yeah, I mean, that is true. They should list. The only thing is, Mexi is the biggest manipulator for Kaspa, but Binance is the biggest exchange. So if Binance is in Kaspa, while it'd be fantastic, maybe they wouldn't do it at the beginning because, they would have just wanted to make money on Kaspa, but Binance would eventually be the biggest manipulator for Kaspa. Binance is the biggest, they're the biggest manipulator in the crypto space. So it just means you get a bigger exchange to do it therefore. Of course, it's better because it's Binance in a sense, but you no matter where you go, you still get manipulation. So there's nothing we can really do about that. Welcome back, Beebs. How are you doing? Very, very well. Welcome back, Crypto Block Dag Millionaires. You know it, man. Welcome back indeed. Is Binance dropping hints again? Yeah, they've been doing it time and time again. I think I made a post about that. Yesterday. Where is it? You had CZ speak about exploring new blockchains that are, because he thinks blockchain's not quick enough, so that in itself is quite interesting. You have this post here as well. Binance made a post about 4 days ago now, governance by smart contracts, what DAOs mean for trust and coordination. And they also made this one here as well. I'm like, yeah, this just seems to be very much hinting at Kaspa in my eyes. Very much so. We'll wait and see. I'll come in due time. Kaspa could also pump hard for a week or two after Bitcoin peaks, as some will rotate profits into the final pump. By then, dog and fart coins will be tapped out, but technically advanced Kaspa will pour it into. I mean, yeah, that's also one reason why I'm not too worried. I'm not worried because a lot of the Bitcoin maximalists who hate every other project in this space have started to look at Kaspa. Even Da Vinci Jeremy, who hated Kaspa, has a big bag in Kaspa now, apparently. So the idea, the logical thought process we can have now is once Bitcoin makes that peak and the Bitcoin maximalists and the Bitcoin holders want to cycle their profit elsewhere to continue making some gains, Kaspa will be one of their first choices. It's going to be one of the first choices of Kaspa. So Kaspa, if it ends up having a delayed pump, which of course would frustrate people, the pump will still happen at some point because you'll see other holders, Bitcoin maxis and whatnot, cycle in when they want to start making extra gains. So I'm still not worried about the price. Yeah, next Zabo just called out Kaspa. No, the project, come on, wake up, it's done. Binance will list. What other proofs do you need? Kaspa is the ETH 2017. Sleep well tonight. I mean, it's reassuring stuff, no doubt. It's not endorsement, but it's at least recognition of some element, which is good. Ours demo Kaspa went through 1 to 7 cents in roughly a few months when Kaspa decides to move. There's no stopping it. And yes, and as Kathy Wood once stated, longer the base, the bigger the breakout. Kaspa's had a very, very long, quiet, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, whatever you want to call it now, base. It's been down here for a while. Technically speaking, I'd say this would be considered the base. Or I guess more so probably here, because it's been hovering around here for the last, 9 months, 10 months. This here was euphoria candle, too high, got rejected, came down. Now it's at the base here. It's been hovering around here for some time. Kaspa, realistically speaking, probably should have done this and then went up here. Instead, it blew up here. It's like, oh, we missed this level down here. So now it's trading here before it's going to go up above that. That's just, drawing random lines on a graph there. But point being is, this is now a base for Kaspa. The longer the base, the bigger the breakout. If a project is deemed to succeed, which I believe Kaspa will be, the longer the base is, when the breakout does come through, it will be much bigger than we possibly expect. and that might be driven by catalysts like ETF filings, tier 1 listings, more smart contracts, stablecoins on Kaspa, institutional adoption, KRI launching their projects, M2 money supply, Bitcoin rallying. There's so many. Swift. In the summer's opening plenary, our CEO, Javier, revealed plans to add a blockchain-based shared ledger to our infrastructure stack. Together with over 30 leading financial institutions, this initiative aims to make real-time, 24/7 cross-border payments a reality at scale across more than 200 countries and territories. At Swift, the global messaging system, talking about getting involved in the blockchain. That's going to take shape next month. No, not next month, in November, 2 months from now. Basically next month, we're at the end of September anyways. That is insane. Another big catalyst for crypto. Not a god candle, but a foundation building block to bring more recognition and adoption to crypto and blockchain technology. 100%. The top 10 unknown wallets hold like what? Over 1 billion Kaspa coins, and I'm sure there's some intention involved, and that they won't bag hold for the next bar. I mean, the top addresses for Kaspa are typically either market makers or exchanges. I mean, again, there's not all confirmation in that, but I'd be very surprised if the top addresses are just someone who's very, very convicted. You know, that's Mexi, that's Bybit. We believe that to be Binance. I think that one might be a Kraken wallet. Looks like, no, it's a KuCoin wallet. Right, so yeah, so you got one Mexi, 2 Bybit, 3 probably Binance, 4's KuCoin, that's Gate, that's Uphold. Then you've got 7 through to 10. One of them's probably a market maker. Maybe it's DWF Labs, or it's Wintermute. Kraken's up here as well. One of these wallets as well. It might be 7 actually. Yeah, Kraken 7. So the top wallets are exchanges because they need liquidity to list Kaspa. But I mean, they're still holding Kaspa, you know. They're not just dumping on everybody. Well, they're manipulating them up, but they're not dumping on everybody, you know. Kaspa will pump in October. Binance will list US as people need a lot of money before Thanksgiving, so they can buy stuff made in China for Christmas. Crypto will pump again in Q1 after the US holiday break. Not a bad thesis. Not against it at all, and hopefully we see that. Now, before we get to more questions, because we are quickly running out of time, I would like to quickly talk about this post here from Polinsky. Uncle here, Stefan, asked a question about, we deserve clarity. When will layer 2 be truly permissionless? Will node software be open source from day one? How do we guarantee trust minimization over marketing hype? And he replied here, so we spoke about this one yesterday here. I know little to nothing about why Kaspa layer 2s are created. Therefore, it's not valuable to me to learn about their architecture, code-based transparency, and so on and so forth. I view layer 2s as an unwise path which risks repeating Ethereum's mistakes, and I've voiced the concerns for several years now. Identifying this problem, Kaspa Core grinded for quite a while on the enshrined layer 2 design, which in simple words is a ZK verified computation layer which is tightly baked into layer 1 consensus, receiving opcode and data structure support from layer 1 whilst keeping computation and more crucially state of layer 1. So he's basically just saying here, TLDR, I don't know anything about Kaspa layer 2s. I don't care about Casplex or Igor. I know nothing about them. Don't really care or know why they're created. But at least what we have done for Kaspa Core is create a mechanism that allows them to kind of utilize, and it's tightly baked into the layer 1 consensus, so it's not going to just completely siphon off everything from Kaspa basically. And then he goes on here. That's exactly why the community is skeptical of centralized layer 2 claims. Credibility is Kaspa's biggest strength. This is not directly related to centralization. By design, a layer 2 is misaligned with layer 1 Kaspa. Even if it's open source and decentralized, it is still a competing decentralized parasitic network, subventing social consensus and Kaspa network effects. In some sense, being closed source and centralized is less of a facade. So this, in simpler terms, which Tony put this in our community earlier, so shout out to you, Tony, it's basically just Tom Polinsky saying here, just because something is decentralized and open source does not mean it's good for Kaspa. I mean, think about Change Finance, or think about Popify. Kaspador, bless him, he was in good ties with Popify in the sense of that they were communicative, they were transparent, and they still rugged. Change Finance equally, they're meant to be decentralized, they're meant to be a DEX, and they rugged. Just because it's decentralized open source does not mean it's good for Kaspa. Especially if it competes for Kaspa. If it competes and supporting it, it's not good at all. So, and in that regard then, if it's decentralized open source and does it to Kaspa, that could do more harm than good, because that system's been upfront about its goals, and also, in a sense, quote unquote, moralizes Kaspa, and it still does people wrong. So, in the words of Sompolinsky here, he doesn't really know or care about Casplex. That's not a dig at Casplex. He's just like, I'm focusing on layer 1 Kaspa. That's all that really matters to me. That's all he's really talking about. That's all that really matters. So if you want to participate in Casplex, go for it. That's up to you. But Casplex is not a representation of Kaspa. It's a third party putting on top of it. Kappa Silver here also has made a post regarding his thoughts right now for Casplex as well. Congrats on the launch. It's nice to things being discussed coming to life that brings more use cases to Kaspa. User friendliness is lacking big time. What's the point of building something that basically only experienced users would be able to do? And that's only because an experienced user is used to tinkering with this stuff until it works. Lack of transparency, lots of technical questions asked by shy, and responses are practically non-existent. From what I see, the implementation is very centralized, so risks are very high. Using the layer 2, be very cautious and about what you're doing and how much of your funds you're putting in. Net positive, because this opens the door for more use cases and developers to get attracted to Kaspa. Net negative, because lots of improvements need to be done for any of this to actually be adopted at the mass scale. It appears that there are many behind the scenes working to have Kaspa on the map as a competitive smart contract platform now. That's great, but in reality of the situation is that Kaspa does not have forever to be in the building stages. And that I think is fair enough as well. That could be a cause for concern in the sense that Kaspa does not have forever to build. So you have to kind of start moving right now in a sense as well. And I understand that could be a cause for concern regarding price. Kaspa's been building for too long, it hasn't got anything to show for it right now. But that's again why I'm not too worried about that, because I think we do have enough time. Again, when I look at documents like this, I think we still are very, very early. So I'm not too concerned on that just yet. But yes, in the general consensus of things, you know, it was a launch and it's seemingly been good. But because of probably also driven by Shy quite a lot as well, there's still a lot of support behind this layer 2 smart contract due to lack of transparency and open source code and whatnot like that, and lack of answering questions as well. So we have heard from some people saying that they're willing to answer questions when people are asking them, but they haven't really done so from the looks of things. Yes, I know Shy is not great at asking questions that people want to answer, but still. But also, yeah, he makes the point about how if you know what you're doing, it's fine, but if you know what you're doing, it's actually quite hard to do, which is also a concern, because you should really have a documentation to give you a clear step-by-step on how you should do it. So in the grand scheme of things, good for Kaspa being out. Great to start seeing use cases coming to Kaspa, but we're just really, really early again. So just be patient. And as you are worried about the centralized nature of Casplex, just put a very small amount of funds in, or just don't get involved. Wait for IGRA, whatever it may be, or wait for VPROGs. You know, they're coming in due time. In other news, quickly as well, SEC has issued notice indicating they're moving forward with approval of multi-share class structure, or allow funds to launch ETF shared classes of existing mutual funds. So from Eleanor Terrett here, asked Litecoin, XRP, Solana, Cardano, and Dogecoin ETF to withdraw their filings following the approval of the generic listing standards, which replaced the need for those filings. And withdrawals should be happening as soon as this week. For more context, also asking whether withdrawals are a bad thing, the short answer is no. The long answer is the SEC approved the generic listing standard about 2 weeks ago. It eliminates the need for exchanges to file the 19B-4 forms to list individual ETF tokens, simplifying and speeding up the process. This move signals that the new process is working as intended. As long as the token meets the existing criteria, the SEC can approve a crypto ETF at any time with just an S1 filing. So even those deadlines are looming with the individual ETFs, the SEC could technically make a decision on any of those at any time. So it may delay ETFs coming out in October, maybe, because a lot of their deadlines are coming up very, very soon. But again, if the companies decide they want to withdraw them or not, maybe they don't want to do that because they think, oh, they're just trying to get more time as well to delay again. Who knows? But in the grand scheme of things, it's a good thing. You're now going to see the approval process of ETFs a lot shorter. I think it previously was like 6 to 9 months, if not longer. And now it could be only 3 months for an approval. which is a very, very big step in the right direction. So again, positive developments coming to crypto, and that will hopefully reflect in the price of these assets going forward. We're seeing it going a little more green today, which is great to see. Hopefully see everything start to rally more so in the coming weeks. The week's going to be very, very volatile based on all the Fed news and stuff like that as well. But we'll wait and see. And Kaspa, again, while price is struggling again, you have getting some big recognition coming through, which is reassuring. Anything's possible. Anything is possible, but I know public. Anything's possible. Equally also possible, who knows? Kaspa has been between 7 to 9 cents over 88 out of the last 91 days. It was 10 cents for 2 days and 11 for 1. What do you make of the stability? Is that Binance times with buys or precision? I think it's again just a sentiment of the buyers and sellers just kind of controlling Kaspa. Market manipulation controlling Kaspa at the bottom. We're at our bottom, I think, for Kaspa. A long base, so therefore the breakout will be quite big. I don't think necessarily Binance the one controlling that, but I'm sure Binance are probably buying the dips as well. It would be insane to see it, definitely. I don't care about price one day. I have a large part of my bag, $10, $20, $40, 100%. I think Kaspa will be 50 cents max this year. Who knows? Who knows, Lord? Maybe we'll see it go higher. And yes, Art Zero's right. If you enjoy these streams, leave a like. Share your friend and subscribe for more. He's getting rep with his predictions, but he still shows up. I don't make predictions, or price predictions anyways. I don't make predictions at all. I just talk about crypto, about predictions for Kaspa. I've been saying for a while, going to do well, of course. Yet to come through yet, but manifesting it, right? And I do think Kaspa's still going to do well. This cycle in particular, and years to follow as well. I don't think we've still got more time. It's quite evident when you look at this documentation here, which of course you go to see as part of the VIP. Or equally just part of this stuff here. Again, this information for the most part I also publish in my free server as well. So if you want to find out more, tune in and lock in and more, check out the free community here and level up even more so the VIP, all available on my homepage and also down in the description as well. You can, but do you want to? It's a community thing. You'd have to therefore ban a large amount of people in the community to list and pay for a listing. Do you want to do that? I don't. I don't want to pay for a listing because I want to keep my Kaspa for myself for one, but also because if MEXC manipulate Kaspa's price, because MEXC is the only exchange that has been paid for a listing for Kaspa. So if MEXC do that, what will Binance do? We pay for Binance listing. They manipulate the hell out of Kaspa. It might even be worse. You know, so I'm like, I just let them list when they're ready. They will list. First 2 months of crypto or the cycle top year historically speaking about are about to begin. I mean, yeah, true. We're at that pinnacle phase, but again, I think the cycle probably goes a little bit longer as well because we are in a very new predicament where the last cycles, we are starting to see the economy start to fall back now, where now we're seeing the economy start to accelerate again. So it might be a longer cycle. Yeah, it does. Honestly, I just can't deal with big, intricate words. I'm not like that. I wish I was. Think we'll see 6 cents to 5 cents before Kaspa run to the bull run? Good question, Richard. I don't know. That does in line with this resistance level here. We could touch that. Does align with that. It depends on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin comes back down to 10.7, then maybe. If Bitcoin kind of holds around this zone here, then probably not. I think Kaspa is not far off making that move upwards. It's just consolidating right now between 8 to 7.2 cents as it's done previously. And every time it's done that, actually has, like, if you look at it in history, did it here, did it here. To be fair, it did do this from a bottom, whereas now it's come down as holding here. So maybe it will do that and then come down again with the sellers being in control. But if it does come down, I think you'll see a quick bounce from there. We'll have to wait and see though. And yeah, I'm sure you'll see many ETH devs come on board when they perceive the time to be right. But again, when that is, who knows? Because I sure as hell don't. I always rewatch Plan K's endgame videos whenever I'm doubt about Kaspa. Yeah, also very true, 13. If you have any doubt about Kaspa, definitely watch Plan K's videos. You go to my free community. So join the link down in the description. Go to my free community. Go to the Kaspa channel right here. And you go to the top right. And you click the pinned comments. You can't see it on the screen, but it's up here, pinned comments. You can see Cryptoni posted in these endgame series here. You can jump to that. And then you can see all the Plan K endgame videos that gives you an understanding of what's happening right now, ultimately why we remain bullish on Kaspa, because we see what's coming to the space. How's Plan K's rainbow chart holding up? I have no idea, Richard. I'll be honest, I have no idea. I haven't checked that out for a bit of time. I'll check it out later on. I'll give you, I'll have a look at it. Last time the government shut down, actually pumped 10%. We're chilling. Yeah, I'm not worried about it at all, honestly. Pretty much. Yeah, they'll call us crazy. Now they'll call us delusional, and they'll say that we are lucky. No, we're just convicted. We know what we hold. Columbus crew threatened mutiny and demanded to turn ships back into Europe just one day before land was sighted. Some long-term holders will swap up for capital ships before land was listed. Exactly. History in the making. It's going to happen. But the data combiner is literally the same memory using neural networks, machine learning, exact same. Okay, maybe. Oh well. Is what it is. Hopium then. Just hopium. Either way, they have made enough posts about Kaspa for me to believe that it's coming anyways. My mistake. I'm at work and my phone is at 50%. Well, I'm still glad you were able to tune in, Kryptoni. Hope you enjoy whatever you could listen to. I guess have your phone. If only you had a battery pack with you. Whether you could keep your phone charged longer. Sure, okay, he's back. Oh, you mean unknown wallets, right. I mean, many of the unknown wallets we can, cross-examine to find out who they're from, like Krakens and KuCoins and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, in regards to just general holders, I mean, yes, they're still stacking more and more Kaspa, Kaspa down 50%, every other down 51%. Every other crypto is up pretty much besides Tau, other few crap coins. I mean, if you're looking at you're right, Shred. Kaspa is down 54% in the year compared to every other coin in that regard there. But if you look at it, again, it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of perspective. Because you look at it in that regard, then yes, Kaspa's down 54% in the year, which is around here. But then if you look at it from all-time highs, Kaspa's down a bit more. But you look at every other project, they're down 70% from all-time highs. Again, the idea of focusing on price for me, and I don't want to say price does not matter because it's not true at all. Price does matter. Of course it matters. We want to make money from our investments. But when you try to analyze price and compare to other projects, first off, Kaspa's not the same as other projects. Second off, it is so very easy to make an argument about price that supports your claim. So easy to do so. I could look at XRP since October here. Since November 2024, and I can make an argument about XRP being better than Kaspa because it made a massive pump it made there. XRP in a similar time frame was valued here. So it's come down massively since then. But at the same time, I could make an argument about Kaspa from here compared to XRPs, and it would wipe the floor of XRP. So it's a matter of perspective. It has tech, but it may not ever get adoption. Kaspa communities are just an echo chamber. I don't disagree that we're in a bubble. But again, that bubble is starting to pop when you've got people like Nick Szabo, the creator of BitGold, who is one of the person who has so much in-depth early insight onto Bitcoin, starting to ask questions about Kaspa. That echo chamber, that bubble is starting to burst. And tech may not get adopted, true. Innovative tech that changes the way of life always gets adopted. That's the mistake that people tend to make time and time again, saying that good tech doesn't always get adopted. Game-changing tech that significantly changes the world, talking about electricity, talking about the internet, talking about Bitcoin, Kaspa in that regard, they do get adopted. It just takes a while. Bitcoin took 17, 18 years to get to where it's at right now. 17, 18 years. The internet has been out, what? Actually, where the internet came out. For like late 1990s. I can't even remember now. Yeah, 1983. The internet came out. And it didn't really take off. The internet came out in 1983 and it didn't really take off. Again, look at the article here. In 2000, Forbes suggested the internet may be a passing fad as millions give up on it. So it was out for 17 years before it got massively adopted. It's not therefore saying that Kaspa it's going to take 17 years to get that adoption. It's going to happen a lot quicker this time because crypto is getting adopted right now. But again, it's to show us that groundbreaking tech is often ignored for a long, long time before it is so innovative that it cannot be ignored. Kaspa has Dagnut coming out next year. And if Dagnut does everything that Son Plinsky intends for it to do, it will be impossible to ignore. Because internet chaos resistant is just something that nothing else in crypto can achieve while being secure and scalable agency. So again, I don't tend to entertain price talk about Kaspa because again, it's a matter of perspective. You can literally pick any time frame and prove that Kaspa's doing badly in price, but then I could also pick a shorter or longer time frame and prove Kaspa's doing fine. It's just whatever time frame you pick. Price is not a fair argument for me to make. Because I could come back in a year's time and Kaspa could be up to, let's just say for argument's sake, $20. I'm not saying it's going to reach that in a year's time. That's quite ridiculous. But let's just say for argument's sake, it does reach that. And then I could say, oh, Kaspa's the best asset in the world because it did that. But then someone could say, oh, but Kaspa did badly here. Price is relative. And I don't want to say it's not important. It is important. But it's perspective. It's a matter of perspective. Oh yeah, BYDFI is coming up. When we don't know, but I'm sure it's coming up soon. If you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. You know, you're entitled not to like it. That's all good. Smart contract is not to be an application of the target end user long term. So I'm not expecting it to be a user friendly, especially to be initial release. Yeah, I mean, again, it's smart. I'm not expecting too much in it either. Like it's great. It's out. I'm happy about it. More use cases coming to Kaspa, but I'm not like. I'm glad we're finally moving on. Like moving on, and we got Igra Labs coming up, we got Spark coming up, we got VPOGs coming up. Those would be great as well and better as well in regards to even more use case for Kaspa and also native stuff coming to Kaspa as well. You know, we just got to wait really. No, I don't pretend. Again, I'm very, very transparent the fact that price is important, but it's a matter of perspective. You know, you can go to the meme market and make a 5x in a day. You can go to the other assets as well that are doing very well, like Hyperliquid has done fantastic since its like relaunch. You can go to other assets, it's fine. There's multiple assets to make money from. And again, I've been transparent. I have diversification. I hold other assets. I've never been quiet about that. I don't publicize all the assets I hold, but I hold other assets. I've been my gains in them. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it at all. But the argument about price is such a difficult conversation to have because you can literally pick different time frames and it works in your favor. If you pick Kaspa from this year, yes, it's done badly. If you pick Kaspa from August 1st, 2024, yes, it's done badly. If you pick Kaspa from November 23, yes, it's done badly. But then if you pick Kaspa from early 2023, it's done fantastic. If you pick it from even earlier, the end of the cycle, 2020, the 21 cycle, it's done incredible. It's a matter of perspective. So however you talk about price, it really is just whatever supports your argument and your claim. I don't say price is not important. I do. I'm not in Kaspa solely because I'm in Kaspa because I think it's going to do very, very well in price because it's got such innovative technology. It's just like it's not because the price not mattering. It's about I don't say price not matter. I'm saying the talk about price is a tough one to have because you can very easily adjust and move the goalpost to fit your narrative. The same way how I can move the goalpost, like I made in that post here. I can very, very easily move the goalposts. Where is it? Yeah. This individual here. No credit to the guy. He's not wrong. He's not wrong here in saying this. But again, I can move those goalposts from being the last 12 days, the last 10 weeks, and the last 14 months. I can move them to saying over the last 4 years. And then Kaspa looks fantastic. To talk about price is a difficult one to have because it's like whatever you say can support your narrative. That's why I don't really entertain the talk about the price being bad. Because while it is bad, and I accept it's bad, you know, Kaspa's proven itself very much so, and it's still building more and more. And I still think, again, because it's still building and it's getting the appreciation and the recognition from other massive minds in the crypto space. That for me is enough for me to tell me that Kaspa is still very much on their radar. You know, these are people who were there at the inception of Bitcoin. People who have created smart contracts, who have created Bitcoin, who've started to say, you know what, Kaspa is interesting. Let me look into it. If you think about that and you think about these people therefore getting involved, why do you think the price matters as much in the short term? Ha ha ha, very funny. Years from now, users will not be interacting directly with smart contracts. Yeah, they're doing it straight through the layer 1. Yeah, be patient indeed, Dimitar. Be patient. Smart contract is foundational, 100%. Yeah. So that part is we talk about projects that the tech is important, but in the end, people always look for focus at the price of the tokens. In other words, all altcoins are still hype driven. And that, unfortunately, is where you're wrong. Because institutions are here now. What we say and do literally doesn't matter anymore. Plain and simple, what we believe as retail, unfortunately, means completely nothing. Because institutions are adopting the technology to build on top of it, to utilize it for their systems. They might still be a bit hype driven now, but that narrative is very quickly changing. And unfortunately, it's just, again, information you're not aware of because you don't have the access to documents that I have access to because I've done my research. And again, that's not guaranteeing that Kaspa is going to take off to the moon next week or anything like that, but I'm looking at what the smart money are talking about. How early we are with crypto. What they're looking at a lot right now, they're looking at real world assets. Just spoiler alert. They're looking at how to adopt the technology. We covered documentation. We covered an interview earlier from PwC. Not PwC, sorry, Ernst & Young, who said we are at the beginning of crypto's inception. Point being is we're still extremely early. So hype is still a factor, but that's quickly going away because institutions, BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Vanguard got involved last week. JP Morgan, all these institutions are either building or offering crypto to their clients, or they're building blockchain. They're building on a blockchain. Mainly Ethereum right now. It's going to probably change very soon. Tech is important. In the last few cycles, tech generated hype and FOMO. In this cycle, tech generated hype and FOMO in the first half of it. Now, institutions being here is now a testament of what is going to be adopted by that institution. Hype and FOMO does not matter anymore, because if it did, then when XRP had a partnership with Franklin Templeton and was securitized, therefore connected to BlackRock, XRP would have jumped leaps and bounds in value. It didn't. It came down, if anything, because Bitcoin was moving the opposite way. It's not hype driven. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's really not. Hype will still drive projects, so it's not like it's never going to happen. It still will do it, but that's not how crypto functions anymore. If you have that mentality, respectfully, you need to change it. You do. Because those are the ones that are also going to be pump and dumps and go to zero when the culling happens. You've got to go to where the actual building is taking place. Where's that CZ post? Where's that CZ post? There was a CZ post from a while back that I saw when I was scrolling through it last time. Well, that's one. It takes being slow and steady to build something which operates so fast. That's more so Michael Sutton, actually, not CZ. Tell a lie. Where's that CZ post? No, that's the hacks. Is that one? Don't think it's that one either. Oh, there you go. Perfect. That's what I'm looking for. Literally perfect here. Perfect to answer your question here. This is CZ Binance saying hype may win the short term, builders win long term. All I wanted to say. That's all I needed to say. Hype may win short term, and it still be a factor, but builders win long term. That's it. That's all it is. Also very true. No, I didn't skip past it. I did. I laughed at it and said, ha ha, I just didn't load it up. Exactly. Again, it's a matter of perspective, depending on what you're holding, depending on what, again, if you go into Kaspa if you got Kaspa at the very, very beginning, you're laughing. But it's a matter of perspective, it's not easy. More messages are moderated by the host, pretty much. Why do you think that VPOX and IGRA would be a catalyst for move prices if 10% market was, I think? But I'm not saying that they will be catalysts for price movement. I'm saying that other big catalysts coming to Kaspa. catalyst doesn't necessarily mean price movement, it just means more adoption. And that could correlate to price. You know, by the time that you see VProgs coming out of native smart contracts, again, that's a foundation building block. It won't necessarily move the price immediately. And IGRA Labs, again, I think IGRA Labs has a higher chance to move the price purely because there's a lot more belief and faith in IGRA right now because they're being a bit more transparent than Casplex. But it doesn't guarantee it's going to move leaps and bounds because, again, they're a foundation building block. I don't think they're going to, but again, the price pumpers, the hype that is short term that will pump the price is listings and ETFs. That's it. Everything else that comes to the projects will be great for the long-term adoption. And then, of course, FOMO from the community. FOMO from the community can also do that as well. And I think you're going to start seeing that in the latter half of the cycle as well. When Bitcoin maxes come involved, you see FOMO from the community come back as well. But otherwise, it's going to be listing in the ETFs. But otherwise, what builds Kaspa's longevity and makes it succeed in the long term is building. Is the VProgs, it's the IGRA, it's the KRI launch the enterprise projects, it's the Dagnite. That's what makes it succeed long term. I don't think China are going to ban it anymore. I think China are opening up the crypto because they know they can't avoid to put it down anymore. I understand the sentiment behind it, Buffalo. I don't think it's a bad theory, but I'm also under the impression that China, in fact, anybody now, is going to decide that suppressing is probably the worst thing to do. They need to accept it now. No, I don't abuse for being abuse for being annoying, not American. There's nothing about where you're from. Because I know majority of my audience is American. I'm not going to assault Americans. I just assault you. Yeah, they also want to have a big amount of pad before they list it as well, 100%. Yeah. None of us have a true understanding. No one's got a crystal ball at the end of the day. We are seeing the eyes coming to Kaspa at the end of the day as well. So also what I've been hearing as well, which is very true. Thank you for sticking up for Kaspa. You're welcome. I mean, again, I'm just regurgitating what I hear time and time again. I'm using sources to support my claims. You know, again, I'm more than happy to. Again, I've been transparent. If Kaspa has something that I was worrying about it, I'll talk about it. I've spoken about my concern to Casplex and time again, and Shy. I speak on FUD. I don't like doing it, but I do it because it's important to cover. But at the same time, when there are certain parts when there are certain arguments being made again regarding price, I'm like, price is such a. I don't like talking about price because it's such a moving a goalpost argument to have. And then when the question about making the text not always going to succeed, you can post like that. Someone who's been in the space for a long time. You can get hype with meme coins and projects that win short term, but in the long term, the builders are the ones going to win. Kaspa has been building the whole time. So, you know, yeah, I'll defend Kaspa whenever I can do it. And if someone brings up a valid claim about Kaspa, then I'll accept to it, I'll admit to it, and I'll address it and either agree or disagree. But if it's going to be regarding price, I'm going to more often than not say you're right, price sucks, I know, but here's my counter argument. And there had never really been a logical backlash to the counter argument I made because I don't just quote it based on my beliefs, I quote it on what other people say. And therefore disagreeing with, if you're disagreeing with me, disagreeing with these people therefore, and that makes you, you know, that is a slippery slope when you're disagreeing with people like CZ, who, you know, again, well, you know CZ. Oh yeah, exactly. And then when you get, you know, native smart contracts, that's what built directly on top of Kaspa, therefore, so they won't even interact necessarily with the smart contracts. Yeah. Again, it's smart contract is just a stepping stone for Kaspa before it gets, you know, native VProgs and whatnot, everything else. Love to hear that, Mr. Miles, man. Keep going. And yes, being out of fiat is honestly, I mean, of course, I still need it for cases right now and I still hold on to it, but most of my wealth is probably going into crypto now, and I have good reason to believe that as well. Again, I covered that with my VIPs. If you want to find out more about the shift coming through, the $72 trillion wealth transfer, among other things as well, check out the VIP 7-day free trial, all that stuff there as well. We're not getting native smart contract in the typical sense we believed. VProgs is, I call them native, it's not actually native smart contracts. VPOGs are not native smart contracts because they actually have limitations to them and issues that Microsoft address. But just to make it easy for people to understand, I call VPOGs native smart contracts. They're not. They're VPOGs, but that's what I just made it for easier keepsake. Are you worried that all Kaspa catalysts don't move price? No. Because again, it depends on the catalyst you're thinking about. Again, the catalysts that will move, there are catalysts that are great for adoption and there are catalysts that are great for price movement. Price movement is driven by hype and FOMO and a lot of influx of capital. So a Binance listing would move the price. I think that's pretty evident. I mean, you saw it with Kraken. Kraken's nowhere near as big as Binance, but Kraken listing did this. Kraken listing did this. Well, the listing actually happened here, but you saw the FOMO come through ahead of that anyways, because the KF made an announcement about it. So 64% for Kraken listing. And if you want to argue, technically, of that whole candle up here, so 76% gain for Kraken. That's Kraken. Binance will do a lot more than that. So Binance and ETF filings, where you have institutional adoption, those would be price-moving catalysts. Kraken didn't move the price either. It did. Not as much as you wanted to think it did, but it did. Kraken launched on the 14th, if I'm not mistaken, which was here. And then it pumped to here. So it pumped 50% in 2 days. Or 3 days or whatever. Is that a god candle pump? No, but that's from 12 to 17 cents. When the market was going through... Well, actually, the market started to rally at that point as well. But it did pump the price. It didn't cause the 3x we saw back here with Bybit's listing, but it did pump the price 50%. And that's Kraken as well. Kraken's not as big as Bybit, and it's not as big as Binance. Binance listing would cause a big FOMO candle for Kaspa. That's a catalyst. That's a FOMO candle. Smart contracts, Igra Labs, VPOGs. Dagnite, I'm not so sure about. I don't think Dagnite would necessarily cause a god candle, but that has got a lot of talk points around it, and again, got people like Nick Szabo even intrigued about it a bit now. Dagnite. So I can't attest to Dagnite per se, but VPOGs and Igra Labs and Project Sparkle and KRI, those are catalysts for more adoption, but they wouldn't spark immediate price rallies. ETF filings for institutional adoption, alongside especially tier 1 listings, Binance in particular, those would spark massive FOMO candles. You know, it depends on the catalyst talking about. They're catalysts for adoption and price, which also kind of correlates to adoption, and that's how I've categorized them. If you're expecting price candle explosions, you need to be looking up for tier 1 listings. And if you need a tier 1 listing and you really think you need one, try and band the community together to pay for one. Wouldn't it be smart to sell Kaspa if not too much of a loss and buy 3 of the next cycle? You got to do what's right for you, Bread Pit. If you want to sell Kaspa because you think it's worth your while, then fine. But the difference is, and it was mentioned, about earlier from Enzo about Columbus, they turned around too early because they didn't know it was going to pump. A lot of people right now aren't selling because they also don't know. They believe the pump's going to happen, but they just don't know when. Just don't know when. Binance can list tomorrow for all we know. We just don't know when. The longer the base, the bigger the breakout. I'm not telling you to buy or sell. You do as you will, you're an investor. If you don't want to hold it right now, you want to wait for the next cycle, perfectly fine. But again, the question you've got to ask yourself, are you going to be, in the question you've got to ask yourself, is in the case that Kaspa does, if it doesn't move, fine. Great for you, you got out, you went somewhere else, you either made or lost your money and they came back. If it does move, is that going to be something you're going to regret? It's not like I'm trying to keep you in. I generally, with respect, I don't care what you do. You are your own investor, you do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. You do what's right for you. See, you think you can go to another project and make money? Go for it. I'm all for it. Again, I'm diversified. I've got my money on the stuff. I hold a bag in Kaspa, my biggest bag, because I have conviction in it. And then I got a bag in XRP because I, got on step before the lawsuit down here, make gains in that as well. And then equally, I hold some of the back right now because I'm looking at what real world assets are going to do in the next leg up. So I think the bet's going to be a good play in this next Q4 as well. And some other assets as well that I'm looking into. And also some meme coins. There's some meme coins I'm getting into right now as well, because the big turn's going to happen for memes as well. But I still believe in Kaspa. Because what's coming out for Kaspa are catalysts, are building blocks for more adoption and use case that will start generating volume, demand, and that will increase the price. And also Binance again could happen whenever we don't expect it, which would be a FOMO candle. So you got to do what's right for you. You want to sell, go for it. That's fine. I'm not going to sell because my money in Kaspa is money that I am willing to lose. If the God, for me, Kaspa is, you know, to dust or to Valhalla. I don't think it's going to go to dust at all. I think it's going to go to Valhalla, but that's for me. That's for me for Kaspa. And I've made my gains elsewhere as well. So and the money I have invested, if when I've invested also money I don't need it, you know. It's excess money. Okay, I will. To be fair, I did kind of finish all the content a while back now. I should be answering the question about price now. I've done all the content now, but I'll focus more purely on content as opposed to price talk. Talking to the potential for more catalysts one at a time. Exactly. I wonder if Son Polinsky and Sebo have crossed path in their career. I'm sure they did. If Son Polinsky was also there in the early days as well, right? For Bitcoin. So I'm sure they did cross paths. Adoption will be challenged without smart contracts. Exactly. Kaspa adoption would have been challenged without smart contracts. While we're not so sure about Cashbacks right now, they open up the door for adoption. So it's a good step for hopefully seeing more coming through, and then you can see even more coming with Igra Labs as well as foundation building blocks, you know. And yeah, that's also good as well. They can't use that as an excuse right now. But that being said, the family, that will conclude today's Kaspa Crypto Live Stream. If you enjoyed it, always leave a like, share it, and subscribe for more. Check out the free community to learn more about crypto and Kaspa and be even more locked in with the VIP 7-day free trial or a 1-month free trial through BYDFI. Links down below in the description. Also in my free community as well. Check out a lot more and learn more in there. That being said, have a great day, good evening, good night, family. And I will see you all. What Kaspa post 2022 Kaspa will tell you. Yeah. But again, matter of perspectives, you know. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's very true, Mr. Miles. Sorry, I skipped that. Sorry. Again, I've been speaking for too long. I'm gonna go and listen to blockchain banter now. All right. See you later.